The next day I decided it was time to ask Old Man Horst to give us the medicine to stop us from being bad. I told my brother we must ask Horst about it just as soon as we get in to see him. So, when it was time to slip downstairs to Horst's room, we were ready to go right in and ask him for it. We arrived at his door, knocked, and went in. But Horst was the first to speak. Boys, yes, I've been thinking about you. Today is a special day for our stories. What do you mean? I said. Till leaves home, said Horst. Why, said my brother. Because his mother throws him out. It wasn't like nowadays, you know. You see, his mother tried and tried to get Till to learn something, any ordinary way to earn a living. But no matter what she did, all he seemed to do was play the fool, learn silly tricks, or lie about all day dreaming of the great places he'd like to visit. So Horst began the story, and we never had the medicine. Sometimes Till just sat at home practicing funny faces, screwing up his eyes, poking out his tongue, and twisting up his nose. Sometimes he practiced great speeches he'd make if he met a king or queen. Sometimes he'd pretend to be a great doctor or a great scholar and practice speaking like them. One day, Till was in the middle of one of his speeches. I am the great Till Owlyglass, one of the world's most famous builders. I drew up the plans for the great cathedral in Paris. I showed the King of Denmark how to build his palace. And suddenly, there was his mother with, Till Owlyglass, I've had just about as much as I can take. You sit here, day in, day out, doing nothing to pay your way. I slave away all day to get us enough bread to eat. And you, a strong young man, spend your days talking to yourself in fancy talk and doing the most stupid things anyone has ever seen. I can't stand it anymore, Till. I've got only one thing to say to you. Get out! A year or so earlier, Till might have argued, Oh, mother, tomorrow I will get down to it. I'm going to learn how to be a butcher. I bought a knife and an apron and I'm starting tomorrow. And his mother would have believed him. But today, Till was different. He was beginning to feel like a big fish in a little pond, a person who was only famous in his own small village. He thought it was time he went out into the world. Mother, said Till, putting on one of his voices, I can see I've made your heart sore. Fear not. I shall go forth into the world to seek my fortune. Oh, stop your silly talk, said Mrs. Owlyglass. Just go, and don't bother me for the moment. I can't stand it any more. So, with no more fuss, Till put on his shoes and walked out of the door, never to return again. Till knew where he was going. He headed for Magdeburg, a town with a big market, a big town, not just a little place like Neitlingen. After a few days, he arrived there and at once began to mingle with the crowd in the market, watching the buying and selling, listening to the shouting, studying the street performers. He loved it, and pretty soon he thought that he could do as well as any of the people he saw there. There were people selling chickens that couldn't lay eggs, people juggling and dropping their clubs, people selling pills to stop your hair falling out. Till watched it all. And then he made his plans. He didn't have a penny in his pocket. What could he do? Well, what he did was collect together a little ash from an old rubbish dump, and he mixed it with a little dust from a stone wall. Next, he took the mixture and shook it into some old nutshells. And then, when he had made up a whole pile of these, he went back to the market, found himself a little corner, spread his nutshells full of the mixture out in front of him, and began to shout, Step forward, ladies and gentlemen. Before you, you see a powder. Madam, I can see you standing there, scratching your arm. Perhaps you wonder why. I can tell you, ma'am. Fleas, yes, fleas, ma'am. Nothing to be ashamed of. This town is full of them. Sir, I see you scratching your backside. Fleas. Yes, it's fleas. I, the famous Till Owlyglass, can put an end to all your itching and scratching. Here before your very eyes, you see the amazing Owlyglass flea powder. All you need is my famous powder and it will be no more itching, no more scratching. By now, people had begun to gather round. They were interested in Till's speechifying, and they wanted to get a close look at those little nutshells full of powder. Ah, I can see you're interested, ma'am. As you're the first, please take one for free. I'm an honest man, ma'am. Take a nutshell of powder and it'll be no more itching, no more scratching for you. Soon, crowds of people were asking Till if they could have one. Of course, sir, yes. Of course, ma'am. They're on special offer today. Half price to the people of Magdeburg. 2 shillings. No more itching, no more scratching. In the space of 20 minutes, Till sold every one of his nutshells full of ash and dust. With the money jingling in his pouch, he went off to the nearest inn and made his plans. After he had drunk a bit and eaten a bit, he went off to the nearest knacker's yard, the place where they kill old horses that are too weak to work anymore. There he bought himself the cheapest horse he could. Then Till led this poor old horse behind a wall on the edge of the market and tied its tail to a post. Once again, he began his speechifying. Walk up and take a look. Ladies and gentlemen, on the other side of this wall, you can feast your eyes on a rare and remarkable sight. Come and look at the Wonder Horse. Its head is where its tail should be. Do not miss this chance to see an extraordinary freak of nature. Pay your money and take a look. Many people couldn't resist Till's offer. They thought, this sounds interesting. Let's take a look. They paid their money and Till helped them over the wall. Of course, what they saw was just an ordinary old horse with its tail tied to a post. And when they came back among their friends, they didn't tell them it was a trick because they wanted their friends to be tricked as well. So one person after another climbed over the wall, and all the time Till was taking their money. But after a while, Till's luck ran out. One of the ladies who had bought his ash and dust the day before, the world-famous Owlyglass flea powder, came along, and she was onto him straight away. Oh, it's you, you rogue. You're a liar and a cheat. That stuff you sold me yesterday was no use at all. I saw a flea walk all over it. You robbed me of good money with that rubbish. Madam, said Till. Perhaps you didn't understand me right. That flea powder has to be used in a special way. You should take a needle or a pin. Put the flea onto the end of the pin. Then pinch the flea between your finger and thumb to make its jaws open. Then you put some of my powder on the end of a tiny stick and ram it down its throat. As soon as one grain touches its tongue, the flea is dead as a doornail, madam. The woman listened to all this. Then she said, What are you talking about, you fool? If I had the time to do all that, I might just as well have pinched the flea with my nail in the first place and killed it like that. All this time, people were crowding round. Some who had been tricked by the Wonder Horse, and others who had been tricked by the flea powder. Till could see that they were beginning to get angry. The man's a fool, and we've been tricked. Yeah, he thought he'd come to this place and get the better of us, did he? Well, if there's one thing I can't abide, it's a plain out-and-out fool. Till thought the best thing he could do was disappear for a bit. Without hanging about any more, he hopped over the wall, ran down the alley, round the corner, and went straight into an inn on the edge of town. Old Man Horse stopped there. I suppose that's all for today, is it? I said. Well, actually, no. I haven't finished with Till in Magdeburg. I was just giving myself a break, said Horst. Oh, go on then, we said. The thing is, Till was a bit cross with himself, that the crowd had got the better of him, and he hadn't liked the way they called him a fool. So after a day or two of thinking, he came out on the streets again, this time wrapped in an old cloak. Ladies and gentlemen, today the great Till Owlyglass will fly like a bird over the market square. He went all over the town calling this out, telling the people to come to the town hall at 2 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, nearly the whole town was standing in front of the town hall. And exactly as the clock struck, boing, boing, Till stepped out onto the roof. There was a hush as hundreds and hundreds of people looked up. Till began to flap his arms, first slowly, then faster and faster. The people down below began to whisper and get excited. He's got to take off any minute now. Yes, I think he is, yes, they were saying. Suddenly, Till stopped and burst out laughing. He pointed at them and shouted, Well, friends, up to now, I believed I was the biggest fool around. Many people told me so, even some of you. But now I see you're all much bigger fools than me. How do I know this? Well, great fool I may be, but never for one moment would I have believed that Till Owlyglass would fly. After all, you can see, I'm not a bird, I'm not a bat, I'm not a butterfly. I would never have believed that I could step from the top of this huge town hall without falling to the ground and breaking my neck. But you actually believed I could fly. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you that you are all bigger fools than me. I think I've proved it, don't you? At that, he turned round and disappeared. The people stood speechless. Till was right. There was no getting away from it. Some of them shrugged their shoulders. Some of them laughed. Some of them nudged one another and giggled. But they all knew that Till was right. Till, meanwhile, ran as fast as his legs could carry him away from Magdeburg. He thought that the best thing for him to do was not to be seen there much more, in case the people's laughter turned to anger. Because if that happened, they'd skin him alive. And that really is all for today, boys, said Horst. Off you go. I've been talking much too long already. Ask him about the medicine, said my brother. No, you ask him about the medicine. But old man Horst got us out the door and closed it behind us before either of us could say another word.